So today we're going to be talking about how you can outplay the narcissist and manifest a healthy relationship anyway. So when we're talking about narcissism, we're talking about a personality trait that exists on a spectrum. If you're a narcissist, then you have narcissistic traits. So they don't just show up sometimes, they're pretty pervasive. So there's a pattern. If you have a friend who you think is narcissistic, then you'll see arrogance, you'll see self-righteousness, you'll see blame shifting, you'll see woe is me, you'll see grandiosity, maybe exhibitionism if she is an overt narcissist. If your friend is a vulnerable narcissist, then you'll see more of the woe is me, I'm so misunderstood. You know, people just don't understand how brilliant I am. You know, one day maybe people will finally understand just how great I really am. I hope I'm alive before people discover how amazing I am. So there's this idea that they're really very, very special, that this idea that they're very important. And in lots of the cases, it's because it's a figment of their own imagination. They're really not all that unique, and they're really not all that amazing. When it comes to intelligence, they want to be known for their superior intelligence, and they tend to downplay the accomplishments of other people. They tend to be envious. They tend to put other people down who have achieved certain success. And so if you have a friend who you think is a narcissist, this is something that you're going to see a pattern in. You're going to see a lack of empathy. So you'll have a friend who might be able to identify that someone else is in pain, but they won't be able to relate or have empathy for, which means they're really not going to care that that person's in pain. It's going to be like, oh, well, you know, this is life. Life is hard, you know. Oh, well, you know, her dog died. She had the dog for 6 months and got this dog after the other dog died. And oh, well, another dog died. Like, what are you going to do? Get on with it. Go get another dog. And so there's a lack of empathy. If you have a narcissistic friend, you might feel like she or he is in competition with you. You might feel dismissed. You might feel like there's a lack of connection between you and this person. And what's really mind-boggling is the person just doesn't get it. There are social cues, emotional cues that this person just seems like indifferent to. They don't care. We're talking about a grandiose sense of self, which is very oftentimes linked to nothing but a fairy tale. They're legends in their own mind. They want to be seen as legends. They want you to see them as a legend. So a narcissistic friend is either going to walk around with this air of superiority. I want the best seat in the house because I deserve the best seat in the house. You know, I don't have to wait. Why should I have to wait? I'm the most beautiful woman in the room. Or don't you know who I am? I know this person. So there's a sense of entitlement. Or you have a friend who's walking around and playing the victim and expects everyone else to cater to them because everything's always going wrong in their life. But there's a lack of accountability. And there is great blame. Everyone else is to blame for why what's going on in their life is going on in their life. It also needs to be said that, you know, we have to be careful because the word narcissist is being thrown out a lot these days. And I think that before you deem someone as a narcissist, it's really important that you do your homework. It's also important to recognize that only a trained professional can diagnose someone with narcissistic personality disorder. But studies are proving that narcissism is on the rise. America itself is becoming very superficial. And there is a rise in reality TV shows. There's a rise in social media. People are more than ever putting themselves out there. There's a lot of exhibitionism, a lot of superficiality. Everybody wants to look perfect, which is all feeding into narcissism. And there is definitely a cultural shift. And if you haven't read the book, The Narcissism Epidemic, it's quite fascinating because it talks about narcissism being on the rise and why. And so we know that narcissism is on the rise, right? There have been a number of studies done on college students specifically that are showing an increase in narcissism. What does that mean for the rest of us? What it means for the rest of us is that, especially if you're someone who's keeping your own narcissism in check, because it is a personality trait, and we're all dealing with a narcissistic machine called social media. And I do believe the way I look at it, my own personal take on it is that social media has created or helped to create a very narcissistic paradigm. And it's seductive because social media makes it possible for you to feel seen. If you're someone who has never felt seen, social media is a great way for you to feel seen. But narcissism is about taking. It's about exploitation. It's about discarding you and devaluing you. You see it in the media with celebrities all the time. There are days and years, perhaps, that the masses love one celebrity, and then all of a sudden they hate that celebrity, right? And so it's the same thing with social media. You can be up one day and get lots of likes, and all of a sudden someone comes along, says something negative or exposes something about you, and all those likes disappear. And then what happens? Your sense of self is rocked because you're not getting that validation that you got from social media. And so I think that it's very smart for all of us to be very wise about how we use social media and how social media has been designed to get us hooked, to love bomb us, to seduce us just like a narcissist, and to maybe even gaslight us into staying hooked. You know, we all know that there are trolls that exist out there who dislike you just for the sake of disliking you. They have nothing else better to do but to say negative things about you and to harass you, right? And so what that does is it gaslights you. We all know that smear campaigns happen all the time on Facebook, all the time on social media, and it can have a profound impact on someone's sense of self, especially younger people. It's important that we as parents recognize how we use social media, and that we be very mindful about our cell phones not becoming an extra appendage. That we don't give our children the sense that the most important thing is that like on Facebook, or that most important thing is that Instagram follower, or the most terrible thing in the world is that someone unfollowed you, or someone didn't like your comment, or whatever. All of this crazy stuff that happens on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook. It's important that we as parents recognize that whatever we focus on just is going to grow, and we should be focusing on our children and our communities and building bridges and bonds between the people that we love, and helping people feel seen and grow and all of that wonderful stuff that really makes us human. And so that's important. So narcissism is on the rise. We're dealing with this narcissistic monster known as social media. And so we really have to pay attention now more than ever because of this narcissistic thing that we're dealing with. And so you're going to have to deal with learning how to outsmart and outplay a narcissist from time to time. You're going to bump into a garden variety narcissist. There is no doubt that you will either work with a narcissist, that you will be friends with a narcissist or someone who is high on the spectrum. You will date a narcissist, marry a narcissist. There's no doubt that you're going to bump into someone that you need to learn how to protect yourself from and to develop some life skills around so that you can stay anchored in the self and not get sucked into the gears of a narcissistic relationship. So a narcissist will love bomb you. A narcissist will idealize you to get what they want. It is not about you. It's always going to be about the narcissist. When it comes to social media, algorithms are being created. And what the algorithm does is it love bombs you. It feeds you more of what you are looking at. So whatever you give energy to, think of it as an instant manifestation. That algorithm is taking all that information and feeding you more and more and more of it. That's why I think it's important that we don't rely on social media for all the information we receive because it's biased. Whatever you tend to pay attention to is what the narcissistic machine called social media is going to feed you. And so you become polarized, right? So I just think that's a little caveat, but let's pay attention to that. Let's say that you've identified someone in your experience that you think is narcissistic, right? There's a lack of empathy. there's indifference, there's self-righteousness, there's arrogance, they're condescending, they're passive-aggressive, they're snide, they blame everybody. There's a lack of accountability, and this is a pattern with this person. It doesn't get better. So the first thing that you want to do is you want to stop focusing on the narcissist and refocus on how you feel when you are around them. Do you feel anxious? Well, ask yourself why. Do you feel hurt? Is your nervous system thinking that something is off? So when you're thinking about, at least for this video, what I want you to imagine is a car. So is your check engine light on? We don't realize that we have this internal GPS that is always trying to get us to stay in the right lane, but we don't listen. We get red flags. We go, oh, no, it can't be true. You know why? Because they've activated our narcissism. There's a narcissistic trait that has been activated in us. Oh, I feel seen. Oh, I feel special. Oh, I feel important. And we must manage that because it's like cocaine. It's like a drug, especially if you are thirsty to feel seen. If you are someone who grew up in a home with narcissistic parents, if you're struggling with abandonment trauma, if you have been made to feel like your feelings were irrelevant, then yes, when you bump into a narcissist who makes you feel seen, think of social media, they see me, look at pretty butterflies all over my face and puppy ears, I'm so cute, I'm so adorable, everybody likes my picture, you feel seen and you want more of it. It's normal and it's natural. It's a natural human response. We're connecting, or so we think, but we have to be careful because it's a fantasy. We don't know these people on social media. We don't know them. You don't know the person that thinks you're a cute little puppy. You don't know that person. So we need to stay with our feet on the ground and be realistic about how much energy we invest in the machine, this narcissistic social media machine, as well as with a narcissist. So ask yourself, is my check engine light on? Do I feel like something's off with this person at work? Do I feel like something's off with this friend? Chances are it's off. It is so uncomfortable to be friends with someone, especially if you're friends with someone for a long time. And you start to see things like, oh, I don't like the way that feels, right? And you can get all caught up in trying to swat the red flags like whack-a-mole, whack-a-mole. I don't want to see that. You have to see it. It's really difficult, but you have to see it. And you have to ask yourself, is my check engine light on? Is my internal GPS telling me that something's off? You need to listen to that. So rather than focus on what the narcissist is doing, focus on how you feel. How do I feel when I'm around this person? Do I feel seen? Do I feel heard? How do I feel about what she just said to that person? Or how do I feel about how he treated that person? How do I feel about that comment? How do I feel about the way that I've just been shafted and they've just turned their back on me? How do I feel about the way I feel like I'm being ostracized? Have you ever been in a situation where you're with a bunch of friends and you feel like they're icing you, but it's done so subtly that you can't call them out on it? And then if you call them out on it, they turn it around on you and they make you look like you're the crazy person. So rather than call them out on it, focus on yourself. How does this make me feel? You're better off excusing yourself and saying, listen, guys, I don't feel good. I got a stomach, my stomach's upset, or I just forgot I have an early morning call. I got to get home. You're better off excusing yourself and getting out of there and just removing yourself from the negative energy than confronting a narcissist, because they're going to blame you. They are so good at not caring how you feel. So ignore them. In other words, like walk away. Figure out how you feel and say adios, bye Felicia, and do what you have to do to take care of yourself. We get into trouble when we want to confront a narcissist, when we want to fight with a narcissist. It's not going to work out because a narcissist lacks empathy. So the problem with a narcissist when you're arguing with a narcissist that you have to keep in mind is that they are not as moral as the average person who doesn't have narcissism. In order to be moral, it's assumed and presumed that part of why you're moral is because you have this do unto other thing as you would have others do unto you. You have empathy, which means that you cringe when you see someone bite into a lemon because you can imagine biting into that lemon. Someone yawns and you yawn. That's an empathy neuron because you can relate to this person. That helps us bond as human beings and not destroy one another. You ever notice that when there's a car accident, people 1 second were walking around on planet Earth like they didn't know anybody, not a care in the world. Boom, there's an accident happening and people come out of the buildings, they stop what they're doing, they stop their cars, they run towards the fire, they're dragging people out. It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. A narcissist is like, what are you doing? Why are you stopping the car? Go around them. We've got our nails to get done, you know? But someone that doesn't have narcissism, a kind person who has compassion, is stopping that car, even just to call 911 to make sure everyone's okay, right? So when you want to outplay a narcissist, you don't want to get into a fight with a narcissist. You don't want to do that. You want to focus on how you feel about the narcissist. The second thing, ask yourself, are my tires flat? Now, what I mean by that, what you want to focus on is unfairness. How fair, how full is this relationship, right? Are the tires in this relationship only blown up when I blow them up, only when I give? Is this person capable of giving back? Fairness, kindness. You know those things that we used to care about, you know, back in the day when people needed people? You know those things like compassion and kindness and consideration and empathy, right? And respect and honor and integrity. Those things that people used to value. You're asking yourself, am I getting this back from this person? Or are the tires in this relationship, are they flat? Does the person that you're working with, is your friend, are they sucking up all the air in the room? Do they tend to get bored when you start talking about something that you're going through? And do they revert back to, yeah, but me? Yeah, but, you know, oh yeah, that happened to me. Can we talk about me? Yeah, but me. Yeah, but me. Oh yeah, okay, that happened to me. Okay, but this happened to me. Why are you not listening to me? Right? Why are you talking about that? That's so silly. Oh yeah, you know what happened to me? You know what happened? You know what I did? You know what happened to me? That type of thing. Is this person like unable to shutty and listen with compassion and intent and try to relate to you when you're talking? Now, there are some people that would say, well, isn't that narcissistic to expect someone to listen to you? Well, I guess some people could look at it that way. But when you're observing your relationship from the observer mode, like Eckhart Tolle speaks about, or Eckhart Tolle, you know, we're learning to be the observer. We're learning to be more logical about what we're experiencing. If there's a deficit in my relationship, and it's a deficit that I can't correct because I'm not in control over it and I can't change it, I must identify it, right? Right? If there's a hole in my boat and it's sinking, don't I have the right, or isn't it wise to go find out where the hole is? Or do I just walk around like my boat isn't sinking? A relationship is like a boat. It's either going to sink or it's going to float. If it's sinking, I want to know why it's sinking. So when you're in a relationship with a narcissist, there's a huge hole in the boat. And what you're trying to do is you take the water, you live with a bucket in your hands and you're always trying to get the water off the boat. You're trying to figure out, how do I get this person to see what I'm trying to say? You know, why do I have to keep going around and around and around? We're here again? Like we cannot get from point A to point B. When you're in a relationship with a narcissist, they can't hear you. No, they're wired to not hear you. They're wired to refuse responsibility. They think you're a joke. Everybody in the room is not as smart as they are. They are the most clever person, and they're quite irritated that you expect them to even be fair. They're annoyed, and they are obstinate, and they are indifferent, and they are resistant, and they don't change. They don't want to change. They don't see the benefit in changing. And some narcissists really do believe that they are the smartest person in the room, and you cannot convince them that they're not. You cannot convince a narcissist that they're wrong. They will say that you're just being ridiculous, that you're just being overdramatic. It's always about you. It's always about you. They'll twist it on you. You're not going to get from point A to point B. And so when you're in a relationship with this type of person, you're trying to control something you can't control until you learn to be objective, until you find out where the hole in the ship is. And so when you're using this tool, when you're looking to be observing, you're not being a narcissist. What you're saying is, I need to know what's wrong in this ship of a relationship that I'm in. Oh, this person is indifferent. There's the hole in the wall. Now I can decide, like a big grown-up person, whether or not I want to stay on this sinking ship with this person. Because if I don't live my life catering to this person, powdering their little bottom, wiping them down with suntan lotion, running around like their gopher, being their everything, being their personal valet, being their therapist, being their mommy, being their daddy, being their source of money, whatever. If I refuse to do that, the boat's going to sink. I'll have nothing. I'll have nothing. So I would rather identify where's the hole in the boat so that I can make a logical decision about whether or not I want to be with this person. So ask yourself, are the tires flat in your relationship? And if so, ask yourself why. Have you totaled your car? Talking about enmeshment. Think about two cars that collide and they're both now part of one car, where you can't even see where the other car ends and the other car begins. You can't see the edges anymore. That's what happens with a narcissistic relationship. Narcissists are empty holes. And you can't have a relationship with a narcissist. Relationships are fair. Relationships grow. Relationships bend. And they weave, right? Narcissistic relationships are strict. It's the narcissist way or it's no way. If you're not going to run around like a codependent, people-pleasing, saying yes, anticipating the needs of the narcissist, fanning them when it gets too hot, wiping their brow, oh yes, telling them how beautiful they are. If you're not going to do that, the relationship's not going to work. To be in a relationship with a narcissist, you can't confront them. You can't expect them to show up and be fair to you. You can't, because the minute you do that, they become really aggressive. And depending on what level of narcissism we're dealing with will determine their behavior. They can become super, super aggressive, super, super punitive, vindictive, or they completely discard you. You never hear from them again, they ghost you until they need another source of narcissistic supply and their supply runs low. Then they're gonna hit you up with a stupid text. They'll hit you up on Instagram, they'll hit you up on Twitter. They'll find a way to tell you that they're around. They'll come up with some excuse. Their dog died, their grandmother died. You never knew a narcissist had like 27 grandmothers, but a narcissist will come up with just about any excuse to lure you back in. So have your cars collided. So if you want to outplay a narcissist, you have to detach. You have to recognize that in order for you to outplay the narcissist and attract a healthier relationship in the first place, you have to deal with this enmeshment. When dealing with a narcissist, do you feel like your thoughts have been pushed off a cliff? Do you feel like what you think and what you feel has just been obliterated? Are you feeling smashed all the time? Does your partner care if your car gets stuck on the side of the road in a snowstorm? Or they're just like, yeah, call AAA. Do they not understand how you feel? If you're dealing with someone who you're enmeshed with, you might get stuck complaining and being wounded. That's called the abandonment wound. You might get stuck like, how could they treat me this way? You don't want to get, that's why you're stuck, because you are in resistance to what is happening to you. So resistance is friction. One of the things that I teach in my masterclass is non-resistance. So if you want to propel yourself and to manifest a healthy relationship, you have to accept where you are. And where you are might hurt. And where you are might be prickly. And it might be embarrassing and it might be humiliating and all that lovely stuff, all those negative, icky emotions that the human brain just doesn't want to face and doesn't want to feel. But you have to. You have to become non-resistant to where you are. You have to become non-resistant to the idea that dating a narcissist or you're married a narcissist. The sooner you accept that, the quicker you can accelerate. So we're trying to deal with non-friction. We don't want friction. We want non-resistance. So I want to accept that I'm in this space. I want to accept that my narcissist does obliterate my feelings. I want to accept that I really don't matter. I want to accept that this boat is going to sink unless I fan this person and bob my head and say, yes, sir, yes, ma'am, whatever you say. Can't confront them, can't have a real conversation, can't expect to be respected, all that narcissistic stuff, gaslighting, projection, triangulation, not allowed to confront it, dear one, just got to keep dumping the water off the boat. So if you want to get out of this enmeshment, you have to face where you are. The fourth thing that I want you to think about if you're trying to outplay and outsmart a narcissist so that you can live an amazing life and attract a healthier relationship is ask yourself, do I play bumper cars? What do I mean by that? What I mean is, do you lack boundaries? Right? So if you were in one lane and you had really, really good boundaries and you were a really good driver, you wouldn't be bumping into the car next to you. So ask yourself, am I playing bumper cars with a narcissist? Do you tend to rescue people? Do you tend to be way too agreeable? Have any of your friends or families ever said, you're a doormat? You don't have boundaries? Were you raised by narcissistic parents? Were you raised by alcoholics? Were you raised in an unpredictable home? Is it difficult for you to say no? Do you tend to feel more comfortable when you are in a room and you're anticipating the needs of everyone else? Are you the first person that shows up at the party to help a hostess clean up or set up? And are you the last person to leave? Are you the person that looks around the kitchen table and says, oh, I'll get you more ketchup, or I'll get you a fork, or I'll take care of that? Or in a restaurant, you go out to dinner with your family. Are you the person who says, I'll take the baby so you can eat? Are you that person who tends to look around you, which is a beautiful quality, by the way? We need people like that, but not if it comes at the expense of yourself, because you're not at your best when you're giving and giving and giving, and you're never in a position of receiving or taking care of yourself. And so if you're someone who's playing bumper cars, then you're not staying in your own lane. You're not taking care of yourself. And sadly, unfortunately, this type of quality, we're talking about traits, like a people-pleasing trait, an agreeable trait in someone, is like a hand in a glove for someone like a narcissist who needs someone who is highly agreeable, who needs someone who lacks boundaries. Because a narcissist needs someone who is going to stand there and tolerate this narcissistic nonsense, right? And so if you want to outsmart a narcissist, if you want to outplay a narcissist, you really have to check yourself. Through the list again. Okay, so the first thing you're going to do is stop focusing on the narcissist and refocus on how you feel when you are around the narcissist. You want to reconnect to your body. You want to try to get in touch with yourself. What is your internal guidance system? What is your check engine light saying? Refocus on yourself. Take the focus off the narcissist. The second thing that you want to do is you want to be objective and ask yourself, are my tires flat in this relationship? Identify the unfairness. Be objective, right? We're looking under the hood. We're not being a narcissist when we say, why is this relationship so painful? It's no different than looking at the check engine light and going into the service station and the mechanic popping the hood. We're looking for why we feel the way we feel. The third thing is you want to ask yourself is, have you totaled your car? So you're going to identify enmeshment. Have I lost myself in this relationship? Do I not share what I really need to share? Do I feel invalidated by this partner? Are my feelings pushed off the cliff? Is this happening? Identify what's actually happening between you and your partner or the person that you think is a narcissist. Number 4, do you play bumper cars? And so you're asking yourself if you lack boundaries and if you're a people pleaser. So basically, to outplay and outsmart a narcissist, what you're really doing is you're really taking a personal inventory of your characteristics, how you show up in a relationship. And this is going to allow you to work on the things that you need to work on. So some of the things that you can do. Don't do for an adult what an adult should be able to do for themselves. So when you feel like jumping in and rescuing, don't. Right? Ask yourself, am I foregoing my own needs for the sake of this person? And then if you really want to be self-inquiring, ask yourself, what is my intention behind this? Do I want to be seen as a great grandma? Am I trying to impress my daughter-in-law? Am I trying to impress the people at dinner? Am I really trying to be helpful? Or am I just in the pattern of doing for other people, and I just don't know how to sit here and be still and eat my dinner and let my son and my daughter-in-law take care of their baby? Like, what's going on with me? So you don't want to do for an adult what an adult should be able to do for themselves. So if you have a friend who has a bunch of DUIs, you might not want to bail them out of jail next time, right? Where's the consequence of drinking and driving? And how would you feel if you bailed your friend out of jail, they got into a drunk driving accident, and they actually hurt someone, or they hurt themselves? So you want to stop the enabling where you can. Somebody who asks you for money is a huge red flag. Right? Sure, we might have a friend who gets into trouble, but if this is a pattern and you see that your friend would rather not work at a fast food restaurant because they're too good to work at a fast food restaurant, and they're not working at all, but they're grubbing off their mother and they're grubbing off their father, where's the accountability in that? There is absolutely no shame in making an honest living. I used to clean someone else's toilet bowl, and I'm not ashamed or embarrassed to admit that. I found a way to make decent, honest money. I had 3 jobs at one time. I will help people who I know are not going to use me so that they don't have to help themselves. I won't do that. The old Lisa might have done that. I didn't know how to say no. So if someone said to me, can you watch my kids because I'm going away? I would say, okay, yeah. Can you give me $2,500 because I need the, okay, yeah. It wasn't even my thought, like, should I be doing that? It didn't even cross my mind. I was just wired to say yes. I was taught that everyone else's needs are above my own. So I didn't have a sense of self. So you really have to start asking yourself these questions if you want to outplay a narcissist, because a narcissist is going to smell your agreeableness, your people-pleasing trait, your lack of boundaries, and exploit it. Learn to work on your need to rescue others and instead focus on your own recovery. If you're a codependent, you're not taking care of yourself, and you're waiting for someone else to take care of you. You're just waiting for the woman that you're rescuing to think you're the knight in shining armor, and that's when the heavens are going to open and you're going to feel enough. Or you're a codependent woman and you're rescuing a narcissistic person, and you think that one day that this narcissist is going to say, you're it! Thank you so much for taking care of me, you're awesome. And all of your abandonment trauma is going to go away. It doesn't happen because there isn't enough catering in the world to allow a narcissist to develop enough empathy to actually see you in an authentic way. And when you're codependent, you're actually seeking you're actually recreating your childhood pattern, so it's not going to work. So some of the other things that you can do is join a support group, right? Get involved with people who understand the journey. Be careful and be wary because there's a lot of projection, sometimes triangulation, and even the best support groups. People always see you through their lens, so it's important that you not take things personally. So if you're going to join a support group, go into this support group and take what you can and leave the rest. Like, you can't expect that you're going to get the best therapy and the best psychotherapist in an online support group. You're going to be working with other wounded people. So what you want to do realistically is hope that you're going to feel seen, hope that you'll be able to be validated, but reserve something for yourself, because there's always a chance that that support group is going to have someone who is very unkind and who says something to trigger you. And that's when you're really going to have to hold on to yourself and ask yourself, why would someone in a support group be unkind? So it's about that person. It's really not about you. So try not to take it personally. So do inner child work. Inner child work is definitely part of my recovery process. I had to figure out what my inner child went through in order for me to reverse engineer and figure out what it was that I didn't receive as a child, so I could stop seeking it outside of myself and start giving it to myself. And take assertiveness classes. Learn how to stand up for yourself. Practice saying no. There are plenty of assertiveness classes that you can investigate to help you feel strong and capable and respect your personal boundaries. Honor your red flags. Dear ones, your GPS system is divine, and it's always going to be trying to tell you what direction to take. And if you're like me, you may have in your lifetime ignored a lot of the red flags. Forget why. Codependency, narcissism from childhood, your parents were dysfunctional, and all of that stuff. Okay, If you take that out of the equation and then you just hone in on your warning system and you learn to honor it, honor your instincts, your life will change incrementally over time. So learn to honor those red flags. Immerse yourself in things that you love. You know, people who are codependent, you're focused on the relationship. When the relationship becomes everything, then the narcissist becomes everything to you. You lose yourself. Even if you were a dancer, you stop dancing. If you were a writer, you stop writing. If you were a painter, you stop painting. If you were a chef, you stop cooking, right? Even if I've seen it happen where you can be someone who's really into your kids and you meet a narcissist and suddenly the narcissist needs to come before your own kids' needs. The narcissist is telling you your kids have you wrapped around your finger and they disrespect you, they disrespect me, and before long you're like, lions and tigers and bears, oh my, you don't know who to listen to. So you want to make sure that you don't forget who you are. You want to make sure that you immerse yourself in things that you love to do. This is going to allow you to outsmart the narcissist while you're in a relationship and while you're recovering from the relationship. Do not allow a bad relationship to prevent you from manifesting a good one in the future. Use everything that you've learned as a lesson. Most of us use the first half of our life to learn with. And then what we do is we take all of these lessons and we apply them the second half of our life. And if you can just honor these lessons, learn to honor yourself, and try not to get stuck in victimhood, and try not to get stuck in anger, and try not to get stuck in woe is me, and try not to get stuck in yeah but, do you know what she said, you know what she did, but. It's all true, and there's a time and a space to be there and to be in that space of being the real victim. But just know that the goal is to move out of that space so that you can come into alignment with a wonderful relationship. And when you have a really good, honest, authentic, vulnerable relationship with yourself, and you know that you're not perfect, and you forgive yourself for not being perfect, and you're humble about it, chances are you're going to be able to manifest someone who has those qualities. Namaste, everybody. I'm Lisa Romano, the Breakthrough Life Coach and creator of the 12-week Breakthrough Coaching Program. It's a program that's going to help you learn how to be less codependent. We do inner child work. We do accountability work. We do meditations and journaling prompts, and we get to the heart of what might be keeping you stuck so that you don't have to attract narcissists anymore, and so that you can attract the types of relationships you actually want. If you would like to listen to one of my books for free, just click on the link below. And if you'd like to become a Breakthrough Warrior member and you'd like to be involved in monthly live streams with me, check out the Breakthrough Warrior membership site. Namaste, everybody. As I bow to the love and the light that is absolutely in you, don't forget to think. Bye for now. If you love this content, check out the next video. And don't forget to click the link below so you can take the codependency quiz. You are often love bombed, and the narcissists themselves are actually fawning all over you, right? You don't understand that there is this ulterior motive or there's this inability for the narcissist to truly be intimate